right, President Trump last night authorized the deployment of 2,000 more National Guard troops to the Los Angeles area. There are now roughly 4,100 Guard members with federal orders concerning these protests, in addition to local police. But the riots continue even as more enforcement is headed to the region. The president is also sending roughly 700 Marines to Los Angeles. Here to discuss this, Joshua Philipp, senior investigative reporter at the Epoch Times. Joshua, welcome to Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so you've been on the ground. I've been watching some of what you've been reporting on. Give us the latest there on what's happening on the streets of Los Angeles.
Yeah, so I actually just left. I just left Los Angeles. I'm in Orange County right now. I was there until about 1 p.m. today afternoon. Right now, it's not too much. Last night, I was told, it got pretty bad, but around 2 o'clock yesterday, you had roughly 3,000 people outside the federal building. Today, it was mostly journalists. You had maybe 30 protesters. They started slowly trickling in. When I left, it was maybe 75. Nothing like yesterday. You do have a National Guard presence there. They're guarding the building. One of their main roles right now is to guard federal buildings. The entire building is just plastered with graffiti. We'll see how things go tonight. But as of now, it's a big shift from yesterday, from what I'm told.
Your sense in the organization of this effort, is this an organized effort?
Yes and no. Without a doubt, you do have some activist organizations working on it. One big thing that I think is not being talked about enough, this is going to lead into the protests on Saturday. There are nationwide protests being planned in all 50 states this Saturday. And for that, you have 190 left-wing organizations, ranging from your normal left to very, very far left, ACLU, all the way down to all the resist protest groups. That's being planned in all 50 states. In LA alone, they have more than 24 planned protests this Saturday.
Now, over the weekend, the protests were violent. Did you see the same thing yesterday, or was it beginning to scale back?
So yeah, I went out on the streets. I can tell you it was pretty bad. Police at that time. So at that time, you already had National Guard deploying to an extent, very small amount, 300 total. The National Guard was mainly protecting federal buildings. I personally saw they were light. It was interesting. You had the main protest area. Police had that area blocked off. Even if you're a journalist, if you were in there and they arrested a group of the protesters, you would be arrested with them. As of last night, they were more aggressive with the arrests. But what you also had is outside the main police area, there were a group of rioters and they were going around. I personally saw them communicating. I saw an individual with a radio stuffed in his backpack communicating locations, saying, go here, go there. And watched a car burn, watched them set a second one on fire. It was still very chaotic. So absolutely, there was coordination on the car burnings from what I saw.
How strong of a police presence from the LAPD?
As of today, it was very strong. I don't know. I mean, I think when the protests first started, you've heard these statements saying, these were mostly peaceful. They were not, which is why this happened. Originally, they did not have enough police. Originally, they did not. Even the local police chiefs and so on, they were acknowledging this. As of now, they're very strong. They do have very strong backing. Even when I was there this afternoon, there were protesters and journalists on the street. Police cars rolled up very quickly, said, get off the road, final warning type thing. They're no nonsense right now, and they have a much stronger presence.
Now, did you interview any of the protesters that were there on site?
I did not. I did not interview any protesters.
I've heard these reports and that some of these rioters are being paid or funded by political action groups. I mean, obviously, you see they have communications equipment. Someone's got to be funding some element of that.
You do have some groups. And I would say it's a mix. I wouldn't say it's absolutely one way or the other. Today, for example, I did see a lot of just, people there who just seemed to just not support illegal immigrants, or not support the deportations. One individual was very loud about it, saying that, his mom was an illegal immigrant. He's an American citizen. He's against it. He says, he supports If ICE wants to deport criminal aliens, he supports it, but not everybody else. What's being left out of that conversation is ICE currently is almost only deporting criminal aliens, except for in some isolated cases.
So final question for you, Joshua. When you look at your interaction, what you saw of the protesters, how many of those are being driven, in your estimation, by the issue of immigration, the deportation, and others just looking for an opportunity?
In my personal observance, what you have here, as with many other protests, including the pro-Gaza ones, including BLM, you have your normal protesters who actually believe in the issue, and then you have paid people who are instigating them. With this organization, absolutely, you have unions, you have immigration activist organizations, you have actual communist organizations. Those are your paid protesters. Those are actually the more organized ones, and they also tend to be the more violent and aggressive ones. But they do tend to instigate the other crowds. Then you also have opportunists. A lot of the looters are opportunists.
Joshua, Philipp, thanks so much for joining us today. Appreciate your insights and reporting on what's taking place there.
My pleasure. Thank you.